Greetings and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shwa and I'm the host and founder of this podcast called Light Up with Shwa. Today is a special on Kashmir. I have Arshad Iqbal, who was born and brought up in Srinagar, Kashmir, and he is currently living in Massachusetts for approximately 18 years with his family. He will briefly talk about the history of Kashmir and the current dire situation there. I will also put links on Kashmir so you can educate and learn about the history and its current situation. This is part two that you're listening, and hope you have already listened or watched part one with Arshad Iqbal. This is a special on Kashmir, and I hope you have learned about Kashmir and its situation. So, thank you for watching and listening.
Kashmiris in a disadvantaged state because post 9/11, this is just to add this here. Although the militancy in Kashmir, it was all an indigenous, it was all a freedom struggle, but it has been tainted with as it comes from Islamic terrorism or something like that. Whereas all over the world you will see they're having similar situations where people have rose up for their rights, and
Just
some
like in Palestine
exactly.
and in other places in
Afghanistan, for example, the Soviet Russia, USSR crossed over Afghanistan. And that was another thing. In India, I have seen usually the Afghan Mujahideen being kind of referred to as some sort of terrorists, which they were not at that time. They were darlings of United States also.
Yep.
Right? But because they were, I look at that, they were fighting for their country's rights because their country had been invaded.
Yep.
I mean, any Indian in India would do the same if China invades India, right? He would take up arms against China, and same thing is what the Afghans did. They took up arms against USSR. That is the sad part. Me, at this being a Muslim and having lived in South Asia, lived in Kashmir, and lived here, I have seen and seeing Muslims live in different communities. We generally are community builders.
Yeah.
We build communities, we build culture, we build families. We have family values. We live with our families. Now we're not warmongers, but unfortunately the issue of Palestine, the issue of Kashmir, they have kind of created this festering sore of problems, which one problem has led to another. So if these problems were that is what I was referring to. If these problems had not been created in the first place, say like even the Oslo Accords in Palestine would have been implemented. Maybe we would have two peaceful countries living side by side. Oslo was agreed by then time. Like coming to Kashmir, for example, if Kashmir had been not taken away from Kashmiris, or its resolution, maybe it had to accede to say Pakistan. I don't think there would have been an issue at that time if people were properly educated, understood, and then we would have a peaceful Pakistan living with a peaceful India, and most likely these two countries would have been so close to each other. But the fact that Kashmir was, this will of Kashmiris was not allowed, and this conflict started, and that how much of hindrance to progress in South Asia it has caused. This is an unfortunate thing that some people wanted to go against the will of the Kashmiris, and we know who they are, being very honest. Nehru started it all. We must be honest, and we must not keep any masks here. Nehru started it all for his own. I don't know what was going. We don't know how many people were lobbying Nehru at that. How many Kashmiri Pandit families were telling him, Nehru, save Kashmir for us. This is what has happened now. Also, they have told Modi, save Kashmir for us. There are many books on Kashmir that are written by really unbiased people. I mean, there are many other books also that are written by biased people. Some of the books. Okay, look at this book. This book has been written by Adrian Levy and Kathy Scott Clark. I have read a lot of this book because I know from Kashmir what was anecdotally said as word of mouth. Does that relate with reality or not? What is really there?
So you would recommend this book?
I would recommend this book for people who want to see. So there are different phases in Kashmir's history. For somebody who wanted to see this book is good for people who have heard. Sometimes you hear in Kashmir, somebody was killed. Who killed him? Unknown gunman. So it's never said who it was. So in this particular case, this is the case about four trekkers who are West. So, Kashmir is very beautiful. A lot of people used to come to Kashmir for trekking. And most of them were not South Asians. They were not Indians from the plains down. It were Western, adventure seekers. So they would go up high mountains. They would, go trekking in mountains for days. So a group of 5 trekkers come to Kashmir. And this is in 1992. Even when militancy started in Kashmir, we started in 1989. Still these daredevils, you would come to Kashmir, and they were our guests.
That's why this book must be written.
This is a book written about their kidnapping,
Okay.
about their eventual, most likely death. They have never been found. It was a very sad event. Their fiancés and their wives, after they disappeared in Kashmir, they camped in Srinagar to find the truth.
Oh, wow.
Because there was an official story given to them, they were killed by some Pakistan trained militants. There was an unknown outfit. At that time I was in Kashmir, when I had not even heard their name, some strange gang, and their name was not even in the mainstream militant parties. It was what it turns out from this book, what it tells, they were mercenaries, and in the end they were brought over by India. And it is said that India knew where these kidnapped people are, and they could easily free them at any time. Indian Army could. That's what was opened my eyes here. But they did not. And they, in fact, probably told these mercenaries, go kill them. So get done with them, and then put the blame on Pakistan. I mean, you will see the book also claims Pakistan has done certain things in the game of militancy, but this was an eye-opener to me. Who killed them? I mean, how this book came out. Adrian Levy and Kathy Scott Clark are 2 British journalists. So the fiancés of these 5 people, when they saw all this stupid thing going on, because they were not dumb, they understood something, because they were told their husbands, their fiancés were in a certain jungle at a certain point, and they are very close to getting them, and they were never captured, or they were never freed from their captors, and that's where they smelled a rat. So they got these 2 journalists to kind of investigate. They were investigative journalists, so they did an investigation.
Okay.
Actually, I would read an excerpt from this story, actually, which is very eye-opening. It's in the chapter "The Game." The big game that was played in Kashmir by the power brokers is. So this is the overreaching strategy of the game, the detective said, was to use any means necessary to sow confusion, hatred, suspicion between the different religions, races, competing militant outfits in Kashmir, so that no one group dominated and all remained weaker than India's security forces. This is what India's intelligence agencies did. They wanted everyone to fight with each other so that everyone remained weaker than India's security forces. But the game went far beyond the age-old tactics of divide and rule. Now this becomes very inhumane here. The game went far beyond the age-old tactics of divide and rule. We slandered and manipulated. This is one of the detectives, Indian detectives saying. We slandered and manipulated. We placed words in somebody else's mouth to poison friendships. We created false fronts, fictitious outfits, like a fictitious militant outfit, to commit unthinkable crimes. We tapped phones. That's an interesting thing after that. Listened into illicit lovers and blackmailed them. They've even done that. There was no moral compass. The game had absolutely no boundaries. And this was something you can only come to realize once you were no longer in it. Means the people who were in it were so used to it. Once they got out of it, they were also human beings after all, like this detective who is relating it. Then suddenly they would have this conscience, what did we do? Okay? And then you would stand back sickened by what you had done. Because your human conscience really, no matter who you are, when you do all these dirty things.
Hopefully.
And then there's one more paragraph which says, so there were no rules, only outcomes. The result was a permanent rumbling chaos in the valley that both prevented Pakistan or Kashmiris from molding resistance that was capable of capturing the state from India. That was the objective. And stopped India from imposing a profound enough peace to be able to incorporate the state into its union. So that it had two, that was the blowback from it. What the intention was to keep them so confused and so much at each other's throat that Kashmiris could not form a reasonable front to form their own state, because it's so simple in international politics. And these are people who have been who have been taken, whose freedom has been taken away from them, whose right to self-determination has been taken. So both Pakistan and Kashmiri people were kept confused and kept lost. But
So who has taken the right away from Kashmiris?
definitely India has taken it.
And
No.
who is not giving them the right now? The current
It's
situation.
not. It's what I would say. What has happened? This was a festering sore, Kashmir. Now this
okay.
what has happened in the last 5 weeks. They have stabbed this festering sore. You have a pus festering sore. Instead of treating it and nursing it and getting it back healthy, and then making some decision out of it, whether they have stabbed it. You never do surgery when you have an infectious sore. You try to treat that infection first, then you do surgery. What India did while this sore was infected, they have stabbed it. And God knows what will happen now.
Yeah, so-
Because they have thrown everything to the winds. And I don't think this will ever lead to anything good. You cannot suppress people by scaring them. It's not possible. And why do this? I don't know. I mean, I personally am very. I have a very high regard of Indian culture, Indian saints, sages, and because I grew up in a Muslim family. My mother was a devout Muslim, but she was respectful of other religions, as she taught us. Our religion asks you to be respectful of other religions, their philosophy. And I could never imagine this would happen to Kashmir. This would be done to Kashmir. So Kashmiris right now are still in a state of profound shock. They are in a state of profound shock. When they rise from this shock, what will happen then? And what will be the long term? Will the people were already not happy, as you see this game being played with them. And now what is going on now? And by the way, this game was used by India to kind of sow the seeds of Islamophobia or terrorism in the world. Like, these 5 people were killed by Islamic terrorists, which after investigation they find it was not really so. The game is really more complicated. No Kashmiri wants to be with India. That's for first thing. I would say a good number of Kashmiris wanted to be with Pakistan.
But not anymore.
They still want to be with Pakistan, but because of this grinding, war that has been imposed on them, most of the Kashmiris think independence may be a better option for us. So I would say a good majority of Kashmiris want independence. Prime Minister Imran Khan seems to be a very balanced and a very thoughtful person. He seems to be, to me, he seems to be doing the right things. He's not a warmonger, but he is fully asserting and basically using his diplomatic, leverage to kind of put Kashmir center stage in the world. I wish the world powers would see what Kashmir has gone through and not be blinded by any business propositions that Mr. Modi gives them, or because ultimately justice is justice. You need to maintain justice. Of course, I was a fan of Imran Khan as a cricket captain. Many in Kashmir were. A lot of people, not only in Kashmir, in India also.
Yeah,
he
of
was
course.
well regarded as a cricketer and a sportsman. He's very articulate. I really love that he is the Prime Minister of Pakistan at this time, and he has shown a lot of poise. Look at the escalation when India attacked. There was a pilot who
In
fell
February.
in Pakistani territory. How he respectfully and nicely returned him. It was very decent of him. We should really appreciate that. Unfortunately, on this side, after that, I heard some people saying, "Hey, we scared him into doing that," which is not true. I would say you could have kept him like
powers.
My message for the world powers is to really look into what has happened to Kashmir over the times, and what were the promises made to Kashmir by the politicians in India, especially Nehru, who was considered a great statesman. He has promised Kashmiris the right to self-determination, and that's what should be implemented for Kashmir issue to be resolved. There are United Nations resolutions about Kashmir. In a rightful way, you see that people of Kashmir have been denied this right, and that's the whole problem. That's the whole cause of this unrest. If that right is given back to people of Kashmir, the issue will be resolved. You have lynchings going on in India. You have people who have killed others, or lynchers, or some people who have been killers being being allowed to go home with reduced sentences. And there's that sends a very strange message. And the people who do the lynching, they make videos of it and they put it online. That's like, yes, we did it, and we are so bold we did it. I mean, it's
the inhumanity of it.
yeah, and it's not coming from just those people. It feels like there's a plan, there's a scheme of keeping this thing going on to suppress the Indian Muslims and to scare everybody. You know, if the Indian Muslim is scared, maybe the Kashmiris will also be scared. A forced, coerced relationship never lasts, and it's if it's made to stay like that, it's pain for everyone, and pain is not good because it leads to other issues. It leads to in nations it can lead to war. Right? So we have to question those events. So, anyways, it was India attacking, via this airstrike. What if it had gone wrong? What if this pilot had gotten killed? It's possible. Maybe his plane was shot. Maybe he got a bullet and he died. Maybe then India, in order to keep itself, they would have sent another plane. Maybe Pakistan Air Force would have attacked. Maybe there was a bigger dogfight.
They were
Maybe
trying to
it
be
would have
responsible. Actually, they were
Yes.
avoiding a conflict.
That's true, but what if
But
in the
it-
spur of war, in the spur of the moment, sometimes these things, it's as Prime Minister Imran Khan has said, it's easy
It
to
is-
start a war, it's not easy to end it.
Exactly.
So if that would have happened, then both nations are nuclear nations. And what if it would have gotten into some sort of a nuclear
So-
escalation? I am really surprised at this time when Europe was all concerned and worried about a nuclear war between USA and USSR, and European politicians. If you are hearing me, you were so concerned about a nuclear war on your soil, and you didn't want any missiles from United States posted there. You didn't want Russia and United States to go through this Cold War, and you were successful to a large extent. And I was so happy when I heard the Berlin Wall had come down. Why don't you do the same thing in Kashmir? The wall that has been put around Kashmir by the Indian establishment. Why don't you just make it come down so Kashmiris can breathe? Why do you not try to end this misery of Kashmiris by being honest about it? By telling India to not cage, not kind of imprison Kashmir, as they have turned it a big prison.
So,
Let them have their right of self-determination. Those principles are dear to every democracy, and India is a democracy. Why don't you hold them to that? Why is India so undemocratic currently? While this could have been resolved in just a matter of days if people were honest. Kashmiris don't have ill will against anybody. We love everyone. Traditionally, Kashmiris have not been warmongers. We've not been even a martial race. That's probably why this happened to us. We never used to kind of fight with others. So I would say Kashmiris are more into are learners, are doers. They love to work with their hands. They are craftsmen. They are weavers. They are philosophers, and they are good. Kashmiri hospitality is known worldwide. Our cuisine is known. Is very, very good cuisine. We lost connection with Kashmir Valley on the morning or the night between 4th of August and 5th of August.
Since then, there is no communication.
There is no internet communication. There is no mobile telephonic connection. There is no landline connection also. Now it is claimed in some quarters, they say, oh, landlines work. Now what happens is, if sometimes you're lucky if you call 20 times. I was lucky only once. That's what has one. And that also I could speak only for 2 minutes. So you put your phone through 1H on a constant dial. Sometimes when it dials the 11th or the 12th time, honestly, I'm not talking to anyone except my sister for 2 minutes. That's all it allowed. I sit on this chair every Saturday morning to talk to my brothers and my sister there. That's a ritual. I do that every weekend. When the weekend starts on Saturday morning, I sit down, try to talk to my brothers and sister. And I do that regularly. Every week I have done in the United States while I've been here for now 20 years. They never, hardly have missed a call to my, a weekend call to my siblings.
Go ahead.
So what I was trying to say is,
Yes.
it's being managed very meticulously. That's why the world is sometimes, some people are surprised, what is going on really?
Yeah.
We have this person, he traveled out of Kashmir. I know a person whom I met like 3 days back who had traveled out of Kashmir. You asked him about Kashmir, his whole expression changed. It looked like he had seen a ghost. Almost like that. They may allow you to go to buy some vegetables from somewhere or milk from some, and the shops are not open, by the way. It is like
Couple
small
of
foreign
hours in the
stores
evening,
sometimes
something,
who are
couple of
with
hours.
down shutters selling something, or your neighborhood grocery store supplying something
So
from
no freedom,
backyards.
no freedom, no walking, no life the way it
what
is.
what I have heard is people can walk and go from point A to point B, but as soon as they feel there is protest starting or somebody is like trying to express themselves, they immediately clamp down a curfew in that area. There was an excess number of security, we call military personnel brought into Kashmir. So they're just trying to keep it managed to the extent that the moment they sense there will be someone talking about what is going on, but there is also this that they have tortured people. There is reports of torture where people they think might have spoken. They have basically there was a report that a person was beaten up and his cries were broadcast on a speaker. So the whole locality is really terrorized. So these things happen. There were cases where people have shown marks of torture that was done to them, and a lot of arrests have happened. Some thousands of people have been arrested. We don't really know the exact magnitude of what has happened because of the lack of communication. But by the same token, you may ask us, is it true? But some people have actually seen jails filling up in rest of India. So young people, young boys have been taken in the middle of the night from their homes. We have seen videos, actual videos. Of course, internet is up, but some people have taken videos there and they have somehow traveled outside Kashmir and send these videos out to the outside world. So we have seen a video of a child being picked up from his home and his parents crying. So the report is like thousands of children have been arrested. Thousands of young children, most of them who take part in the protests, they have been arrested. And God knows where they are right now. Their condition, their situation in Indian jails is not known. But
So what do you think is the solution?
what I'm concerned about are, I will tell you both sides. The darker side is what if we take them by at their word, what the Janata Party or the right wing extremists are saying. It's very ominous. It's almost looking like what happened in Bosnia before the Serb troops entered. The United Nations forces were Danish. They were a little lax. They allowed them to enter, and you know what happened? Kashmir may be standing at that point, which gives me a lot of worry. What if the army lets loose a reign of terror there, and continues to keep people in a clamped down state? I'm not saying this. Some responsible Indian ministers are saying, like the minister of Haryana, Mr. Khattar, recently said that because people in Haryana are not finding enough women to marry because of sex ratio, because of female infanticide,
Yes.
then he took a very crass, very irresponsible, dig at Kashmir. He said, oh, they will go to Kashmir and marry Kashmiri women, and you will kind of, as if women are spoils of war. See the misogyny, you would never say that. And many responsible, otherwise supposedly responsible in a democratic setup, people have been saying such bad things about Kashmir. Some people have been saying this, yes, it's a time to, let them have it, something like that, And an Indian anchor, Arnab Goswami, when this happened, said, let the people resist. We will kill 5,000 people, 10,000 people. Don't worry how many people will kill.
Well, how can we get the US or people here and the government to do something about it? Do you have a website? Are you calling your representatives?
No, what we do is we mostly call our representatives,
Okay.
and they have put up very strong letters written to U.S. government, congressmen and senators, and that process is going on. It's not just me or my friends; it's everywhere in the United States. We're trying to show the true picture to responsible authorities. The interesting thing is there are some people who are counter-protesting and putting, trying to take away this truth from the world. More Kashmiris need to speak out because speaking for truth is a very, very just cause.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to do is trying to basically listen to my consciousness because I'm plugged into Kashmir. I see what's happening. I've seen what's happening. I've seen what has happened. So that has moved my heart to kind of speak out because it's a very real issue. Very, basically stripping away rights of democratic rights of Kashmiris, which the world has to listen to. And the sooner they do it, the better it is. And I don't see there is any end game. These right wing fundamentalists in India are pushing it, and they have no end game. It's going down. We also hear right now the Indian economy is going, down. If more of that happens, maybe these right wing people will try to hurt Kashmir more to make themselves relevant. That's what is happening. That's the other aspect of it. Because Mr. Modi promised a lot to Indian masses, jobs, money will flow and all that will happen. That's not happening. I'm really scared. Germany was the same way. Germany, although well accomplished and the center of culture in a sense in Europe, that time the economy was failing. So one way the Nazis, that was one reason how they got power, because people were dissatisfied. So that's why the world authorities have to carefully look at what's going on in India in general and Kashmir in particular. Okay. This is unprecedented. I would say this is unprecedented. Even in Kashmir's history, this has not happened before.
Thank you. What is gratitude then? Are you still thankful for something? After all, I know your heart is aching and you are not too happy about
yes,
it.
Yes, I don't believe in hopelessness.
Okay.
Because one must be hopeful at all times. This is a time of adversity for Kashmiris and Kashmir. Of course, we have been really pained by this, and I can't tell you how psychologically I'm affected by this. And all Kashmiris, all our friends who know us, who understand Kashmir, have been affected by it, and this constant, lack of communication with our nears and dears. There are two aspects. One is the political aspect of it, which is all bad, and another is the human aspect of it. Family to family connection. I have never seen, on the day of Eid, I could not talk to my sister. So in these 46 days, we had the festival of Eid al-Azha, which is a very important Muslim holiday. And, your day doesn't start before you talk to your elders, and that has not happened. And that I actually cried that day. And I could not believe it. I thought the day of Eid, at least this day, they will lift the restrictions and we'll be able to call home. Honestly, this is a slap in the face of Indian democracy. They kept 8 million people from talking to each other. It's not only talking to people outside. They could not call each other. What I learned is that they have not been able to talk to each other also. Because suppose suddenly all America unites and says lynching blacks in South was okay, for example, because so democracy is not the dictatorship of majority. Democracy is you have to take care of the minority first. The minority rights have to be preserved. I don't consider Kashmir to be a part of India. It is not, never was a part of India, never will be physically, psychologically, physically meaning looking at the land, it's a separate valley. Psychologically, Kashmiris are not with India. And morally also we can't be with India. So that is a ship that has sailed. I would never think Kashmiris can be part of India.
In all this, is there something that lights you up?
I would say the determination of Kashmiri people. The determination of Kashmiri people lights me up. Their patience in this situation. I think it was great to talk to you and to kind of discuss so many things about Kashmir. But I would say a lot more needs to be talked about Kashmir. Cannot be encompassed in just a 1 hour interview.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, now my pleasure. It was nice to have you here.
Na